Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. It is December 26th. Hopefully, everybody had an awesome Christmas. I know everything kind of continuing, I guess you could say. I'm sure people still have family in and whatnot. I know our house finally cleared out down here in Tennessee. So it's amazing how it goes from absolute chaos on the day of Christmas to dead silent, right? And I thought we'd jump in here and give you guys an update on Jordan Love as we're kind of putting all the pieces of the puzzle together on whether he'll play tomorrow night against the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll get you that information as Rob Demovsky said something very interesting earlier on Wildy and Tausch. And then we will dive into the rest of the injury report, then jump right into a quick little preview of Packers Ravens, kind of give you an idea of what to expect, where these teams rank both offensively and defensively. We'll give you the point spread. We'll talk about the quarterback matchup and all the way down the line. Before we get into it, if you would do that YouTube stuff for us, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your day. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live, like tomorrow for the PTA pregame show, 1.5 hours before kickoff. And immediately following the game, we will have the PTA postgame show as well. I see the chat filling in. Appreciate everybody jumping in here and making us a part of your day. Thank you all so much. Make sure you smash that like button on the way in. Let's waste no time and get into it. The full injury report here, okay? Before we get into it, Rob Demovsky says Packers list Jordan Love and Malik Willis as questionable for tomorrow versus the Ravens. Both practiced today. This was obviously, I believe, yesterday that this tweeted out. Actually, it might have been the day, but nonetheless, the final practice, they both practiced in that particular practice. Now, with Malik Willis, he was out the day before with an illness. Kind of got you a little bit worried there. I know Sean Ryan was dealing with an illness as well. Also questionable, Zach Tom with the back/knee, Sean Ryan with the knee/illness, Christian Watson with the shoulder/illness, Evan Williams with the knee, Bo Melton with the illness. So obviously something's going around the facility. You could probably hear it in my voice or something going around the house here as well. So again, I think those guys that are dealing with the illness, they'll be out there. Personally, I think they're going to be good to go. It's just, will they be 100%? And some people roll their eyes at this type of thing. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I know how I respond when I'm dealing with something like whether it's the flu or just a head cold or whatever. You're just not yourself at work. I've got a pretty physically demanding job. You know, one of the businesses that I run is a landscaping business. And if I'm not 100%, man, I am just about useless out there trying to go through 25 yards in one day or whatever it is, right? So I don't roll my eyes when I see someone's dealing with an illness, man. It really takes you off your game. Now, these guys have obviously top of the line medical attention, you know, IVs, all that stuff. They can keep them hydrated and pump them full of vitamins and everything else to try to get them through something like that. Don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit concerning when you see this many people dealing with the illness for sure. But back to Jordan Love, which is kind of the main topic here. Rob Demovsky said something on Wildy and Tausch earlier. He didn't say Jordan's going to play. Obviously, Jordan is officially listed as questionable, right? But the way he kind of alluded to everything was like, oh yeah, you know, the buzz around the building is he's good to go. He's going to be good to go. He's going to get cleared for concussion protocol. So we'll have to wait and see until that information is officially released. But it sounds to me like Jordan Love is going to be good to go. And it sounds like Malik Willis has trended in the right direction, that he'll be good to go. Now, again, we talked about earlier in the week as information broke that they had not signed anybody, right? So it would make you think they feel good about the three guys they got, meaning at least one of the two, either Jordan Love or Malik Willis or both, are going to be good to go by the time Saturday night gets here against the Ravens. So I think that they're both going to be good to go. They'll both be active is the latest information. Again, just reading the tea leaves and what Rob Demovsky said on the Wildy and Tausch show. Now let's look at the rest of the injury report here real quick, as we got a bunch of other things. One thing I do want to mention is what Rob said about Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is good to go. So he's officially off the injury report, if I understood correctly, which kind of surprised. Well, no, there he is right there. So, oh, and that's what it was. He had no official game status listed. Okay. So he was on the injury report, limited all week, but there's no game status like he's questionable. So to me, this hints at Josh Jacobs is as healthy as he's been since before the New York Giants game. To me, that's a great thing, right? You don't have to worry about him injuring himself further. That last game against Chicago was a little bit weird because you didn't see him get many carries there down the stretch. It's almost like they pulled him out of the game. And according to, reports and people that talked to him in the locker room, he seemed a little bit taken back by that, right? That Josh was a little bit like, yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Now, we did find out that he's the emergency quarterback. So as soon as Malik Willis hurts his shoulder, that would explain why they tried to hold Josh Jacobs out a little bit in case they had to go to a wildcat package if Malik Willis could not throw the football, could not go back into the game, right? So I think it's more about that than Josh Jacobs hurt himself a little bit more in that game against the Bears, just me personally. I'd like to know what you guys think in the chat. So it sounds like he's good to go. There's no chance of hurting himself any worse than he had already been, right? Andy Dubs asked, would you sit Josh Jacobs? I would not, based off of this latest information. The fact that he doesn't have a game status tells me he's good to go. And again, you should go after the North, right? You should go try to win this game against Baltimore. You should obviously try to win the game there in Week 18 against Minnesota. And that means play your best players. In no way, shape, or form am I saying you should sit any of your best players. What I was simply talking about before is like if you get into, say, if you look at the rest of this injury report, another guy that's mentioned here is Zach Tom with the back/knee. He did not participate all week. He's listed as questionable. They may march him out there, right? That could happen. But me personally, if he's not 100% and you're taking a chance of tweaking that back a little bit, why not give him an extra week's rest? You've clinched a playoff spot, right? Goal one done. But you want to go out there and win the North, and you want to go out and win every game in case you have a chance of winning the North if Chicago drops their last two games of the season, which, we looked at the schedule yesterday on the live stream on Christmas, and there's a good chance that Chicago could come out a little bit flat and lose those last two games, and you sneak up, win the North, and now you're hosting a playoff game. You got potential of being the number 2 seed if everything fell into place, right? But, at a minimum, you'd be the 3 or the 4 seed. So it's just I do not want to risk injuring Zach Tom and even Evan Williams further going into the playoffs. And this is a conversation we've been having for like 3 days now, right? It's probably becoming a little bit redundant to the regular viewers, but it's worth mentioning again. I think Evan Williams is healthier than Zach Tom personally. Of course, Zach Tom did not participate all week. If you look at Evan Williams on this list, he was limited all week and listed as questionable. Okay. So we talked about last week when he was held out of the Chicago game, it sounded like 1 to 2 weeks was Evan Williams' original kind of diagnosis, if you will, right? And obviously he's dealing with a little bit of a knee tweak there. With Zach Tom, they said 1 to 3 weeks. So I think if Evan Williams 100%, you put him out there. Zach Tom, I'm a little more careful about, right? The great news is Josh Wiley was full participation, so he's good to go from the concussion. I think that's a key piece you're going to need on offense. Sean Rhyan not participating because of the illness, it worries me a little bit. Now, who becomes your center, right? Because Zach Tom, if he's not playing in the game, you're not going to kick him over to center and let Darian Kennard play right tackle. Now, if Zach Tom's good to go, I would put Zach Tom at center and let Darian Kennard play tackle, okay? But if Zach Tom's out, then it's going to end up being, and it's already escaping me now, the kid from Duke. We haven't seen him much. Jacob Monk, right? I imagine it'll be Jacob Monk playing center. That worries me a little bit. It does. It worries me a little bit. But again, it's not like it's a must-win game, although you do want to go win the North. Now, other things that changed on this injury report, Quentin Bohanna, defensive tackle, was dealing with the illness, did not participate Tuesday, limited Wednesday, full participation Thursday, so he's good to go. There's no status listed on him. That's great news. We talked about Sean Rhyan kind of being downgraded a little bit because of the illness. Now, they may have him ready to go. Christian Watson, a little bit of a concern. He's dealt with the shoulder, and then the illness popped up on Thursday. Notice on Tuesday and Wednesday, full participation. There was no worries at all about Christian Watson and that shoulder, right? We were like, okay, he's going to be good to go. But then with the illness popping up, he's listed as questionable. I think he will go, but you may see a little more Matthew Golden this week at the Z position over Christian if he's not 100%, right? And if you can find yourself in a situation where you can go out there and jump up to an early lead, that would help things as well, obviously. So Again, Christian Watson's status changed. Josh Wiley was upgraded to full participation, so we're good there. There's no game status, so he's ready to roll. And then Malik Willis with the right shoulder / illness, limited on Tuesday with the shoulder. Wednesday did not participate because of the illness. And then Thursday, he was upgraded to limited, now listed as questionable, which tells me he's trending in the right direction as well, right? So, again, the main thing, will Jordan Love play? I think he will play. I think he'll be out there. That's my gut feeling just based off of how Rob sounded really, really confident. Typically when that happens, guys, and I don't want to put words into their mouth, but typically when someone makes a comment kind of confidently like that, oh, yeah, I think he's going to be good to go, just based off what I'm hearing around the building, it either came from teammates or it came from maybe a coach behind the scenes, right? Hell, could have came from Matt LaFleur, but they don't want to, officially quote it. He may have just talked to Matt in passing, right? And Matt be like, yeah, I think he'll be good to go, right? But most of the time, Matt keeps that stuff close to the vest. So, again, I think he's going to be good to go, and I think you got a really good shot of going out there, even though you're pretty banged up, as you can see here with the injury list. You can go out there and defeat the Baltimore Ravens at Lambeau Field. The weather last I seen was going to be like 37 degrees and a chance of some light rain, so it should be fairly decent weather in that regard. So, yeah, and you'll notice too that for whatever reason, away teams struggle when that grass gets a little bit damp at Lambeau Field. It's like we know exactly the cleat length. We know exactly how the slip rate. You see it every time when you play a night game, even if it's just a little bit of condensation, right? A little bit of maybe a little fog sets in, or a little bit of moisture, just the dew kind of sets on the ground. You see other teams slipping and sliding everywhere. The Packers have got it mastered in terms of their equipment, guys getting on the right cleats, the right spikes, right? So now let's move along to the Baltimore Ravens side, and this is really, really interesting. You've got Taven Bryan, defensive tackle, obviously just a 21-day window open. He's listed as out, so nobody was expecting him to play. You jump into Jay Higgins here with the knee, full participation, but he's listed as questionable. I think he will go, but the big news, obviously, is Lamar Jackson, okay, with the back injury. Did not participate. He's listed as doubtful. So, again, kind of recapping, the game statuses: probable 75% chance of playing, questionable 50-50 shot, doubtful 25% chance of playing. I think it's pretty much a slam dunk Lamar Jackson's not going to play in this game. And if he does, I don't know if he'll be 100%, right? Seeing the fact that he did not practice all week, and it looked like it was really bothering him when he hurt his back in that last game. I was actually watching that game live, and the announcers are trying to sort through and see, is it a back injury, a torso injury, is it oblique, what is it? It was definitely a back injury is what the final verdict was there. So, again, you're going to get Snoop Huntley out there. Snoop Huntley, you can't overlook him. He's one of those backup quarterbacks that can run the ball all over you. He's got a similar skill set to Lamar Jackson in just an archetype, aspect, right? And he can scramble well, throw on the run. He can run their entire offense. They don't have to change their offense to a pocket passer now because Snoop Huntley has a very similar skill set to Lamar Jackson. So that's the injury report on their side. Other than Andrew Voorhees had a foot injury, limited, full participation. He's going to be good to go. So, yeah, and the same thing with Awuzie there, the foot injury for the cornerback, limited, full participation. He'll be good to go. So really it's just Lamar Jackson. That's who could be potentially missing this game. So that's the full injury report, as Dennis says in here. Hit that like button, or as Clayton would say, like. I guess I said it twice there, right? I don't realize how bad I am with the pronunciation until people start commenting. It must be pretty bad. Of course, I always tell people I read and speak on a third grade level. That's just the way it goes, man, when you're born and raised in Kentucky. So with that being said, if you're watching this video back later, let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think Jordan Love will play? How do you feel about the Packers' health compared to the Ravens' health? How do you feel about this game? Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live anytime here in the near future. Now, one last thing, actually. No, that's okay. Let's just jump into the preview. We'll just jump into the game preview here. So what we're going to start with is just an overall view of these two teams with our PTA power rankings. I updated them this morning. I apologize for not getting it updated sooner, but obviously with the holiday festivities, things have been a little wild. So again, if you're new here and you don't know what these are, with our PTA power rankings, low number wins, you got a final grade on the right side, okay? So the lower the number, the better. And what's all comprised in this, you get the rankings on the left. We're going winning percentage, offensive scoring points per play, defensive scoring points per play allowed, offensive yardage, yards per play, defensive yardage allowed, yards per play allowed, and then turnover margin, okay, which is takeaways plus the giveaways baked into one statistic. Okay. To me, those are the most important statistics in determining how good a team is. And we always say that the winning percentage column, if you see a team that's ranked kind of high and their winning percentage is low, it's typically an indicator of either undisciplined play, a lot of penalties that's not baked into this, right? Or maybe some bad coaching decisions. Maybe you decided to go for it on fourth down when you shouldn't have. Like Detroit is one that really sticks out. As you can see, they get the 16th best winning percentage, but on offense, they're third in scoring, fourth in yardage, right? The defense has been mid-tier for sure. Turnover margin's pretty good. Dan Campbell goes for it on fourth down a lot, man. And those a lot of times you'll end up losing some games you probably should have won by being too aggressive there. So when we go down the line in the ranking system, the LA Rams are number 1, Seattle Seahawks number 2, New England Patriots number 3, Jacksonville Jaguars are number 4. Yeah, tied for 4th with Green Bay. Those both should be 4. Let me just change that real quick for y'all. So, and again, that's how those kind of lay out there. Jacksonville and Green Bay both have a 9.2 score, so they're tied for 4th best in the league as it sits right now when it comes to our PTA power rankings. Now, why is Green Bay ranked so high if the winning percentage is 12th, right? Scoring, they're 12th. The defensive scoring, points per play allowed, they're 6th, right? Offensive yardage, they're 9th. So hold up a minute. They're ranked 9th in yardage, but 12th in scoring. Why is that? How many times have we gone for it on fourth down inside the 15-yard line, right? You get inside the 10, inside the 5, you go for it. And in some cases, I agree with the call, but a lot of times especially early in the game, take the freaking points, man. And I understand the fans get loud on social media. Second, you take that field goal from the 3-yard line. What do? Well, you got to be able to score touchdowns. Okay. And then you look up, you pass up on 2 touchdowns going for it on fourth down down there. You don't capitalize on it. You come away with any points, and you look up and you lose the game by 3 points. That frustrates the heck out of me every single week. So I think that's the only knock I really have on Matt LaFleur's kind of coaching, if you will, his decision-making, is take the freaking points until you can't take the points, right? Because you never know what the other team's going to do. And every time you kick that field goal, every time you jump up by 3 points, you jump up by another 2 points, put a little more pressure on them to get a little bit away from their game plan, because they're going to be a little more impatient, if that makes sense. So again, that's where Green Bay ranks. And offensive scoring is 12th. Defensive scoring is 6th. Offensive yards per play, 9th. Yards per play allowed, 6th. So defensively, the most important rankings, the Packers basically have the 6th best defense in the league, in my opinion. Turnover margin, pretty darn good. You're top 10. You're ranked 10th. So again, the only thing that's lacking is the scoring. And I think the points per play is down because you're continuously trying to, not all the time, and not as much as like a Dan Campbell, who's down here in the number 11 spot on our power rankings, right? But you got to start taking those points, man. Take those points when you can get them. So, again, the Packers come in at 9.2. Now, where does the Baltimore Ravens sit? They're in the number 16 spot on our rankings. They got a 15.2 score, all right? Here's why they're down there. Winning percentage, they're 19th in the league. Scoring, they're 10th. They got a top 10 scoring offense, yards or points per play, right? Offensive yardage, they're 8th in yards per play. This offense can move the ball. And if I remember correctly, you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, it sounds like, to me, Lamar Jackson's been banged up all year. So when you look at the score and you go, well, without Lamar Jackson, that's going to go down. I think you're probably right. But at the same time, they've been without him several times this year. He's been banged up throughout the year, and they continuously, are effective on offense. That's why we should not overlook what Snoop Huntley can do running this offense. So they're 10th in scoring. They're 8th in yardage. Now on defense, they're 15th in scoring in terms of points per play allowed. They are 19th in yards per play allowed on defense. So they're giving up a lot of yardage, really in the bottom half of the league, right? Just beyond the halfway point there, or halfway mark, I should say, to the bottom half of the league. And they're 15th, right around the halfway spot, just one spot higher than the official 50% mark in the league. 15th in defensive scoring. So we should be able to put some points up. Shouldn't be that hard to score on this defense. Now, we're banged up. If Christian Watson's not available, if Jordan Love doesn't play, that's a whole different ball game, right? So definitely something to keep an eye on there. But then when it comes to turnover margin, they are 20th in turnover margin. The Packers, like I said, are higher on the list here in the 10 spot. So when you look at the turnover margin, if this game plays out the way that it has played all year long, I think the Packers have the edge. Now what's the point differential here? And you guys know how our scoring system works. If we were to create our own point spread, we give the Packers 9.2 score. All right. What's the difference between them and Baltimore? Baltimore's 15.2. All right. So if my math is correctly, that's 6-point favorites is what we would have it at. Well, you're playing at Lambeau, probably tack on another 1.5, 7.5. Okay. So I don't like to tack on the 1.5 because I don't think home field advantage is as prevalent as some people do here in 2025, or 2020. Yeah. 2025. When you're kind of going through the league and how these games typically pan out, I don't feel like there's as much a home field advantage as there has been in the past. That's just me personally, and you guys may disagree with that. Now, so we seen it like let's say 6.5 points, whatever it is, right? Let's say 6 to 7 points. Let's see where the market's at now. Let's shift gears over into the PFF preview. The market has Green Bay as 4.5-point favorites. So they got it much closer, right? Why is that? Why is it? You got to ask yourself that. Now, when you look at the money, this worries me here, okay? The Packers, 70% of the money is on the Packers minus 4.5. Some people hear that and go, Clayton, why would you be worried about that, man? That's great news. That means the public's on Green Bay. Yeah. And that means, again, going back to the original talks that we've had here all season long, the books have been killing the public. They've been crushing them, right? When 60% or more of the money is on one team against the spread, typically, more times than not, it's something like 4 out of 5, or at one point it was like 5 out of 6 times. The underdog, if you will, the team that's got less money on them end up covering their spread. So what does that mean? If that were to hold true here with the market spread with Baltimore at 4.5 points plus 4.5 points, right? Then they don't have to win the game outright to cover the spread. You feel good as long as that number stays over 3.5 points, to be honest with you. Now, it may shift as you get closer to the game. The market actually opened up. Packers were 2.5-point favorites. Then they went to 3-point favorites, right? And then it went to 3.5, and now it's at 4.5. So it's trended in that direction the whole time in terms of the money. Now, just winning outright, this number here, you feel a little bit better about because that 60% rule doesn't really come into effect when you're talking about the money line just winning outright. The Packers, 74% of the money is on the Packers to win outright. So I think it's going to be close. After we look at our PTA power rankings, we have it a little bit further apart, but we have the inside. That's just rankings of what's happened in the past, right? That's not really taking into consideration what about the injuries you're dealing with here. Is Jordan Love going to be completely healthy? We know we feel confident he's going to be cleared from the concussion protocol, but what about that left shoulder, right? Well, if he has to leave the game because the left shoulder is bothering him and Malik Willis comes in and his throwing shoulder is bothering him, although he may play, you know what I'm saying? That's why that number probably shifts a little bit closer. But everything taken into consideration, I actually feel pretty good about this game. I just think it's probably going to come down to less than 7 points based off of a compilation of what the market's saying, what our PTA power rankings are saying, the injuries we're dealing with across the board, right? Now let's look at another key factor here, and that is the quarterback matchup. And then we'll jump back up and look at where PFF has the rankings. So quarterback matchup is absolutely huge. It's so important, right? According to PFF grades, Jordan Love has an 88.5. Snoop Huntley has a 73.5. You see what I'm saying? That 73.5, guys, that's a solid grade. Like, to me, Snoop Huntley and Malik Willis are on that same tier. I think they have the ability to be a starting quarterback somewhere if they're in the right system and they have time to grow in that system and not be thrust into a horrible situation like he was in Tennessee, he being Malik Willis. Well, with Snoop Huntley, I see a similar thing. So imagine if Malik Willis was Baltimore Ravens quarterback. Would you be going, oh, yeah, we're going to crush them? No, you're probably going, hey, boys, we got to watch out for that Willis. Willis is a dog. That's how I see Snoop Huntley. Okay. Passer rating when clean, a 104. Jordan Love has the upper hand there with a 128.8. So again, 128.8 passer rating when clean for Jordan Love, 104.0 for Tyler Huntley. And listen, that's a solid grade there, right? Or, passer rating in terms of when they're left clean. Now, under pressure, again, this doesn't mean against the blitz necessarily. It means when they are pressured, okay? When a pressure occurs on the quarterback, Jordan Love, that's been his weak spot this year. 46.7 is his passer rating when under pressure. Snoop Huntley, 83.5. He thrives on it, just like Malik Willis, right? He kind of thrives on it as well. Big time throw percentage, however, Jordan Love is through the roof, 5.18% big time throw percentage. Snoop Huntley only 1.64. So he's not going to drive that ball into a hole shot and hit that bunker against a cover two. You're not going to see those big time throws as much. However, under pressure, he seems to be able to make plays with his secondary window there that he creates with his feet. Turnover worthy plays. This is another thing that comes into play, right? 2.69% for Jordan Love. Turnover worthy play for Snoop Huntley, only 1.64%. Again, much smaller sample size, but you need to take that into consideration. Power rating, however, according to PFF, this is their personal opinion, 4.5 is the power rating for Jordan Love. A 0.0 is what they got listed for Huntley. I don't know if that's a typo or they truly just see it as it ain't even worth putting a 0.5 up there. But nonetheless, the power rating rank, they've got Jordan Love ranked 7th in the league. Snoop Huntley is 26th. All right, so that's kind of your quarterback matchup from a PFF perspective in that regard. And again, this is assuming that Lamar Jackson is not going to play in this game. Now, let's look at the overall comparison here, all right, with the teams. Overall power rankings, PFF has the Packers as the number 3 team in the league. Now, again, going back to our PTA power rankings, where did I have them rated at? I had them tied for number 4. So we're right there with PFF in terms of how we see this Packers team when they are healthy. Again, that power ranking is not saying that's where we would rank them with the guys that we think are going to miss this game this year or this week. It's simply that's how we've seen them this year, right? The power ranking for Baltimore, they have them significantly lower than we do. They have them in the 21 spot. And once again, we have Baltimore in the 16 spot. All right. So we feel a little bit better about Baltimore's team than Baltimore does. But again, now that ranking that may come into effect with Snoop Huntley being the quarterback. Maybe they done a little bit of adjusting there. I doubt it because I'm pretty sure this is all based off of rankings and everything. But nonetheless, Packers are number 3, Baltimore's 21. Defensively, they've got the Packers 14th, Baltimore 16th. So they got it really, really close. I think our defense is significantly better than Baltimore's, me personally. But PFF disagrees. Offensively, they get the Packers ranked 3rd, Baltimore ranked 17th. I disagree with that too. I think the Packers offense is closer to 10, maybe even just outside of the top 10. Baltimore, I agree with the 17 mark. That's about right for me. I would say they're probably middle of the pack, but I don't think Green Bay has a top 3 offense, me personally. Now, they may prove us wrong this week and go out and light it up. That would be absolutely awesome, right? Hopefully that happens. Strength of schedule, the Packers have been a little more tested this year. 12th toughest schedule. And then you've got the Baltimore Ravens have played the 24th toughest schedule. So again, you got the Baltimore Ravens coming in at 7-8, playing a significantly easier schedule based off how the teams have performed this year. You guys know that's kind of a moving scale. I don't like to feed into too much because it's constantly changing, right? Somebody will die on a hill in week 3 saying, well, that's because y'all got an easy schedule. And then by the time you get to the end of the year, you find out, no, actually, we had a tougher schedule because these teams ended up winning that we played and the teams that you lost to ended up losing. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, that week 3 argument doesn't even matter anymore. I hate that. I hate wasting that energy on something that's just this moving scale all year long, if that makes sense. Average offensive snaps, the Packers are out snapping almost 65 snaps a game to Baltimore 61. In terms of run to pass ratio, it's pretty close. The Packers are actually running the ball 43.1% of the time. The Ravens are running at 45.1% of the time. So they are running the rock more than the Packers are in terms of percentage of run plays. Okay, so you're going to see probably a run-heavy attack for the most part for the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, it puts the passing play percentage at 56.9 for the Packers, 54.9 for the Ravens. In the EPA per run, they are running the ball more effectively than we are in terms of EPA, all right, expected points added. They're sitting at an even 0. We're at a negative 0.04. Not too far behind them, but they do have the upper hand in terms of EPA per run. But EPA per pass, that's where we really separate ourselves. We're at a positive 0.22. Last I checked, Jordan Love was tied for first in the National Football League amongst all quarterbacks in terms of EPA per drop back. That carries over into the EPA per pass, obviously 0.22 for him. On their side, with Lamar Jackson this year, and a little bit of Snoop Huntley, who will probably be the starter this week, a negative 0.05. So again, when you take everything into consideration, I feel good about the Packers against the Ravens this week. It doesn't mean you're going to go out there and win that ball game. You guys know any given freaking Sunday, anything can happen. But on the surface, you're feeling pretty darn good about this game personally. So just got to go out there and execute. Got to play it smart. Again, the playoffs are more important than this game, in my opinion. I would love to win the North. There's nothing I would love more than to see us win the last two, Chicago lose the last two. We just snatch the NFC North right out of their hands, them lose in the first round, us go on a run and win the whole damn thing. That's just a dream scenario, right? The more likely scenario is that the Packers drop one of these two and the Bears maybe drop one of these two and the Bears hold on to the North, right? That's probably the more likely scenario. But boy, oh boy, would it be great with how cocky these Bears fans have been to have that just absolutely collapse on them. That would be the most Chicago thing ever, no doubt about it. And their cap situation, our cap situation, as much as Bears fans like to convince themselves that signing Micah Parsons is really just hemmed us up, not the case at all. We got a 3 to 5 year window, and the cap's going to jump in a few years here anyway. The books are balanced perfect for the Packers, in my opinion. The Bears actually have less cap space over the next 2 years than the Packers, and they're significantly older, their roster is. So we have a younger roster and more cap space right now. The Bears have convinced themselves that those are flipped, and it's just not the case. So if the Bears – this is what I'm trying to say. If the Bears completely crap the bed and somehow lose this North or get beat in the first round of the playoffs, Bears fans are looking at like, well, we're a new team, we're a young team, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go look at the cap situation because in a year or two, I'll tell you what you got. The Bears have a window like the Lions had the last 2 years. And now you've seen the Lions this year, they get beat up with injuries. Well, guess what? Jared Goff's cap hit's going to jump next year. There's a lot of cap finagling they're going to have to do. And now you're looking up going, oh, man, is the window closed for the Lions? The Bears are kind of in year 1 of 3 for what the Lions just put in place, right? It would be hilarious if everything fell apart this year. You come back next year, they have to kick a little cap around, and then maybe they'll have a much more difficult schedule next year, obviously, with the way the scheduling works, playing teams that are ranked similar to you in terms of all the other divisions and everything. It would be hilarious if that window was even smaller than the Lions window, which the Lions fans right now are an absolute. They went from, boy, they were the cockiest, most annoying fan base on the face of the earth, to all of a sudden they are just, crazy quiet. And you could tell that it's just reality setting in like, damn, we didn't get it done. We didn't get it done. And now there's going to be some players that are going to have to be let go and some serious adjusting. So it's going to be wild for sure. But all right, that's all I got for you guys. Just want to do a quick little preview for the Packers and the Ravens. And like I said, also wanted to dive into the injury report there with Jordan Love. So if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about the Packers versus the Ravens? Do you think it's going to be a close game? Do you think it's going to be a little bit further than our PTA power rankings, like we suggest there? Or do you think it's going to be closer to what the actual spread is, maybe closer to a 4.5 point game? Or maybe even see the Packers as, hey, look, I don't like the way they match up against Baltimore. I feel pretty good about the game. Hopefully I'm not too confident here. You guys know, I'll tell you when I'm like, I told you about Chicago last week, like probably going to split this one, right? Love to see them beat them, but the way everything's lining up, probably going to split with them this year. That ended up happening. This week, I feel pretty good about how we're tracking against the Baltimore Ravens. But let us know in the comments how you feel, and make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. We may go live tonight. Got to go help put some stuff together downstairs, some Christmas gifts for Mandy. You got to put on the handyman tool belt, get the tools out, and act like I know what the hell I'm doing. So we got to take care of some of that stuff. If we get time, we'll be back tonight. If not, we'll see y'all tomorrow for sure. So everybody in the comments, thank y'all so much. I've been trying to follow along. You guys know when it's solo, it's hard to put everything on the screen and take the time to read it. But I really, really appreciate it. I love going back on these streams and looking at the live stream comments, just kind of see what everybody had to say. So thank you, Coach. Appreciate you, buddy. Everybody in the chat, thank y'all so much for making this part of your day. Hopefully y'all had a Merry Christmas. Everybody recover. I know y'all probably still in a food coma, eat too much food yesterday. I'm with you there. But y'all enjoy the day off. And we may be back tonight. We'll definitely be back tomorrow. PTA pregame show, hour and a half before the game. So make sure you hit sub on the channel. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go. We're out. Bye, guys.